Hello, Greg from Balloon Market here, and welcome to BMTV. And as you can see, we're going a little bit floral this week, and we have a brand new guest. It's Douglas Nuth.
Hi.
Hello, and welcome to BMTV.
Thank you for having me.
I'm saying that energetically because I have to tell you, I just got his name wrong on the first intro. So you'll see that in the bloopers. I do apologise. I really am sorry. Hence the colour of red of my face. Anyway, welcome to BMTV. Now, before we get into what you're going to do today, what I like to do with new guests is find out a little bit more about you, how you got into your industry, and what it is you do now. So start from the very beginning.
Oh gosh, well in 1977, no, I won't go quite back that far.
Born at a very early age.
So I followed my mum into the industry. My mum was a florist long before I was. Started as a sort of a Saturday, Sunday apprentice type style. She begged me not to become a florist, and I said I won't. But I ended up traveling with my doing some traveling in my late teens. Everywhere I visited, I managed to get a job as a florist, and just fell in love with this. This sudden realization that there's this sort of global family of florists, and there was so much to learn, and I just fell back in love with it. So when I came back to England, went to London. Worked in a florist for a bit. They decided to sell, and that was my first. Well, this seems like fun. I'll buy a business, and that was it. And that set my career off, really. That was a long, quite many moons ago.
How old were you then when you bought the business? You must be quite young.
I was in my mid-20s.
All right. And then now that has grown.
Yes.
And tell us the name of your business.
So I have a shop in Ascot now. So I just have the one store and one flower school. I'm based in Ascot. My company name is Old Oak Floral Designers, and I also run the Ascot School of Floristry.
So the Ascot School of Floristry, you teach people that have got no experience whatsoever.
I will teach anyone.
Okay.
But yeah, it's predominantly aimed at people that like to come and experience and have fun with flowers, and to see what we do. To be able to style flowers for their home. Also, maybe they're having they just want to have a go at themselves. Whether, they often buy their flowers from me. They see us making it and think, I'd love to be able to do that. So we offer courses so they can come and actually have a go. And it's really, it's about having fun. And it's not, solely about education, but experiencing flowers from all the way from conditioning and the caring, all the way through to this lovely end designed product.
So you do courses for beginners. You do courses for experienced florists.
Yes. So we do our running courses now where we have experienced florists coming in. We have international designers coming over and teaching, sort of learning new skills, because I could be stuck in my shop all day, every day, doing the same thing, and sometimes I find that I can lack a little bit of inspiration because I'm not seeing what's really out there. So it was really designed to help florists be a bit more inspired to see other things in the floral world. Okay. And there's a big family that we can all learn from.
Yeah, oh, fantastic. So if people wanted to go on one of your courses, where do they go? To your website?
Absolutely, to my website,
which is
www.oldoakflorist.co.uk.
Okay.
Yeah. Or they can just call the number, they can ring me. I'm very friendly. I have a nice chat with them. So we bespoke courses. We can tailor-make courses up to, averaging from 5 to 16 people. And if you want to come and do a hen party, you want to have just some fun, we supply the bubbles. Come and have a fun day. We do team building experiences for corporate clients as well, where they can do all sorts. Yeah, so we bespoke tailor whatever you want to do.
Fantastic. Well, today, you're sort of here as you.
Yes.
But you're also and mainly here representing Oasis Floral Products. Is that right, Michelle? Yeah. Michelle from Oasis is back there. She doesn't want to be on camera
but we might get her in at some point.
We might force her. She'll have no choice. So you're going to talk today about what you can do with real flowers and the Oasis Floral Products.
Yeah. So I've been an ambassador with them for quite a few years. Yeah. And I love their products because they are the benchmark, the quality mark in our industry of excellence, really. Yeah. So I tend to always use their product.
It's a name I've known for years, even without being in the floral industry. Obviously, you've come on BMTV, I should point out to everybody, because florals and balloons are coming together.
Yeah.
And I was having a chat with Morgan earlier on. He was saying that you're part of a group, and 60% of the people in that florist group are now offering balloons.
Absolutely, it's a huge. Obviously, lots of florists have always sold balloons as everyday gifting, but what they're now doing is they're going into this more creative side of balloon artistry, and I think that's a really big thing for lots of florists to be able to take on. And there's this synergy. It's really, it works beautifully together. The florals and the balloons can work beautifully together.
Yeah, they do. Anyway, okay, so we're coming up to Halloween.
We are.
So you're going to do. I don't naturally think of floristry as a Halloween thing.
Oh, it's huge.
But what do I know?
Flowers, fruit. Flowers, and I think this dates back to sort of pagan times. Really, there was always lots, and our history is steeped in having flowers and foliages, gathered and collected into, especially into the autumn period, and with Halloween especially. Obviously, pumpkin carving and a lot of these sort of lovely American ideas are now coming, but there's lots of traditional things that we've done for centuries with flowers and foliages during this time, and I think people almost anticipate having something floral these days. Fresh pumpkin with flowers in can look so amazing. It can look great fun. Yeah,
you can do amazing things with pumpkins. I've never seen pumpkins with flowers, so I'd be very excited to see some of those.
Yes, well, we should certainly show you.
But let's get going. Yeah. What are you going to show us today?
So we've got obviously some products from Oasis Floral Products in here. We've got the hat box. And today we're using the Oasis Floral Foam, which in this case is ideal. So this is our everyday, one brick type of fits all that we ever would need to do. This is the product that we gravitate to. It's their biggest selling product. And we also, as a florist, and that I have to use this a lot, it's the one we gravitate to the most because it fits everything. Yeah,
perfect.
And then we've got, so obviously these hat boxes are pre-lined, so I'm able to put the soaked Oasis inside, and then I filled it about halfway with water, and then at its final destination it would then can be topped up. But I've only used half a brick, with not overfilling it, so that it has room to be able to water, so that whoever receives this product would be able to easily pour water in, and it doesn't kind of go everywhere else.
Do you know the science behind it? Because how can this material absorb so much water and keep it there?
Well, if it's a secret, if I told you, I'd have to kill you.
You don't know, do you?
No, I do. So it starts here. So it's a giant loaf. It's huge. It would fill, almost fill this space today.
Oh, wow.
It's really big, and then it's cut into these perfect block sizes that we use. It is then stamped. The reason it is stamped on top isn't because they just want you to know it is the best. It's Oasis. They literally stamp it because that's when you soak it, it should be on top. Because this, as it forms, the cells are created in a certain way. It soaks perfectly by having that on top. That's the process.
So you do know.
So it's really interesting, and obviously the ideal. It's called ideal because it keeps the flowers the ideal freshness for the longest amount of possible time.
Yeah. Oh, there we go.
It works.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. I will test you later.
Okay.
Obviously. And then I've just taken some Oasis wire. I've then run it through a drill with some black wire just to create this sort of some of interest, something a bit different within the design before we add the florals.
When you say run it through a drill?
So I've put it on a drill. A drill. I've put some thick wire into a drill.
Yeah.
And I have then just got the black wire and turn the drill on and just run it. Because you could do it by hand, but it takes ages. If you put it on a drill, you just go zzz, and it's done.
So this is wire on wire?
Yeah, it is. Okay. Yeah. So it's a very thick wire.
Yeah.
That is, is for strength. I wanted some strength in here because I'm going to be using the Craspedia sort of within there. So I need something that will be able to, when I push a product through it, I don't want it to move. So I needed a very strong wire. But then I wanted to cover it in this black wire because it was Halloween.
Yeah. And then you've just put some.
And then again some Oasis. This is another. This particular Oasis white wire has a very soft sort of velvety texture to it, so it won't then damage any florals as well.
Yeah. There's so much that goes into it. This is really exciting for me because I know absolutely nothing about floristry, so this is really exciting and hopefully good for people out there as well.
It should be an education for you and for everyone now.
Absolutely.
So that's basically what we're starting with, and I have just on the front of the box, I have used the some orange poly ribbon just for this bit of fun texture, because Halloween should be about fun as well. The kids love it, don't they?
Yeah.
And then an extra bit of finishing touches, I've put this lovely green wire on with the little bat motif on the front as well.
Satiny.
Yes, it's great for sort of a nice texture, really, rather than just the poly. You could use any of the Oasis ribbons. They come in sort of satins and many different textures and colours, of course. But for Halloween, we've done this. You could use any decorative, whether it be spider, bats, or anything. You can even potentially make your own little spiders and stuff to put on maybe with the kids and pop them on the front too. But this is an Oasis product that is sold within a kit, so a wreath making kit on this occasion, and not currently sold individually.
Okay, cool.
So that's where we're going to start. So we're going to start then sort of adding, as a base, we would naturally start with maybe putting some foliages in first, because this will start hiding our mechanics and giving us enough room to then, getting the design structure and overall visual started, and then we would add some flowers. So on this occasion, I have got some ivy and some berried ivy. So this is the berried ivy, pre-berry. You can see the berries just starting to come through for the autumn, which would then actually eventually sort of nearer to Christmas, they will go black. Okay. So they're great in doorways and other things as well. And then some of this longer ivy, as well as the regular everyday creeper type sort of ivy. And we just to create something a bit Halloween wild and interesting and fun.
So is that something you do in everything you sell? There's always some foliage as well as the florals.
Oh, of course, because you can create. There are many things we can do with flowers with no foliage, but as an industry standard, we tend to always use foliage because it's a great separator. Okay. So otherwise, it may be in a wedding design, you want something very compact. It's more about the florals. Mm-hmm. When you're creating, say, a product like this, you need to hide mechanics. It would become very expensive if we use just all flowers. But actually, if by having some foliage within it, it separates all the flowers and gives the illusion of something much bigger. Yeah. So it's about being a magician, really.
Adding value.
Yeah, a perceived added value, so absolutely.
So you called yourself and your team, you didn't call yourself florists earlier on.
They're floral magicians.
Floral magicians,
yeah,
I love that.
It's about creating a little bit of magic, yeah. And, a bit of because we do, whenever we make anything in the store, whether it be in the store or whether it be for a demonstration, wherever we are, what you want is people to say that you made it look easy. Yeah. And because we want it to make it look easy, but for people to see it, and actually then when they see it finished, think you made it look easy, but they clearly then understand it's not really very easy, but it's practice. Like anything, practice makes perfect.
Yeah. And training as well, and getting knowledge from people that have been doing it for years is invaluable as well.
Absolutely, yeah. So there is lots of us out there that have done it for a very long time, and we all have our own little tips and tricks and techniques as well. So it's about sharing that information.
I guess it's a bit like balloons. There's no one way that anything needs to be done. You can do it your own way.
Absolutely, and I'm always so with balloons. I watch people do that side and I think, my God, you make these wonderful structures and arches with, like Spider-Man or Superman made out of balloons. My God, it is a whole nother ball game, and it is wonderful.
We have a friend called Dr. Bob, and he comes down and he's on BMTV. He's done a number of shows for us, and he makes a 6-foot or 7-foot Darth Vader out of modelling balloons, and it's amazing.
I might have to become his new best friend. I'm a big Star Wars fan.
Oh, are you?
Yeah, massive Star Wars fan.
Did you watch The Mandalorian? Obviously.
Yeah.
There's a new one, isn't there, coming out soon?
Yes, there is, yes. So as you can see, I'm putting this sort of foliage in just to create a little bit of a base. I don't want to overfill it because I want to still be able to sort of see inside for now, so that I can put the foliage in. Put the flowers in.
Mm-hmm.
However, whenever we're putting flowers into foam, there's a couple of things we really need to think of. So when we have our stem, what you don't want to do is use the wrong scissors and just cut it straight. We always want to make sure, ideally in an ideal world as a professional, we would always use a knife.
Okay.
Because a knife gives a really nice clean cut.
Okay.
It doesn't damage this. So there's cells inside a stem.
Mm-hmm.
When you use the wrong scissors, they smash the cells open and they won't drink. It will drink for a while, but not for very long.
Oh, right, okay.
And then you need to recut it. If you use a knife and you give a really nice sharp angle cut, it's cut the cells within the stem and it will drink for a very long time.
Why do you do it at an angle?
So because it gives the largest surface area to drink.
Oh yeah,
yeah,
makes sense.
So it can absorb more water from an angle.
Yeah.
And also, if you were placing something into a vase, if you were placing this into a vase and it's just cut flat, it would sit flat and therefore be blocked very easily. At an angle, it's always got a surface area to drink from. So we always cut at a very, nice sharp angle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for tidying as you go as well. That's lovely.
That's okay.
Morgan wanted a bin here, which is really nice.
I didn't want to have a reputation. I didn't want them to talk about me when I left. So we would then, once we've kind of got that base done, we would then start thinking about our flowers. So for this particular design, we're going to do something quite tall and funky, using traditionally thought of colours of Halloween, i.e. the nice, sort of burnt oranges. This is a two-tone orange rose, and we can use short in this design for this one. Roses, don't particularly love floral foam, but they will love it if you use it correctly. Okay. So often people say, oh, but they didn't last very well. Well, actually, you just got to make sure you use them quite, sort of low. Things, this lovely Kalanchoe or Calentio, depends where you're from in the country or how posh you are. It's up to you. You can say it however you want to. We've got this lovely yellow Craspedia. We've got Leucospernum in burnt oranges, a little touch of the purple Status, and some red hot pokers, which are actually bright orange. And they're really fun and interesting. So they're going to give a bit of sort of an unusual, what's that look to it. Yeah. And some Liatris here as well. And we strive for perfection in flowers and with everything in life, don't we really?
Indeed.
But I like it when they're a little bit weird.
Okay.
So I saw that and I was like, why not? I like it. He's not perfectly straight, but who is?
Sorry, that's made me laugh far too hard. Okay.
So we will start with some florals. So I'm going to start with the tallest bits first to give some height to the overall arrangement. It's always really a good idea that when you're sort of thinking about, I want to make something quite tall and it's predominantly front facing, not all round in this particular occasion, that when you're cutting, I'm going to be obviously using a knife, or you can use a nice sharp pair of scissors, of course. These types of scissors are great for cutting, sort of wires and product. Yeah. These ones are great if you're, because they're wide enough to fit your whole hand in, that you can cut a nice sharp angle. Okay. But a knife is preferred. However, scissors are great, and it's probably the most commonly used, this type of really good carbon blade scissors. Remembering that you can when we're adding them, you can always take a little bit off the stem to lower it if you needed to, but you can't once you've cut it too short. You kind of then have to work with that height overall, and then using the poker again as well. We're just going to sort of be quite playful with the sort of getting different heights. You don't want everything at the same level. The idea is that we're going to be creating something at different levels all the way down the box, making sure that when you do insert the foam, that it's almost going all the way to the bottom, so that it can drink all the time and not. It's just touching the top of the foam. If they're thirsty or it dries out, of course, the foam will then dry. then your flowers don't last very long. If you're ever worried about something being quite soft in the foam, it's really good to place it all the way through and then just retract it a millimetre, because it creates a little well of water. And then the stem is not touching the foam directly. It's got a little well of water underneath, and then it won't have any blockages as well. That's a really good sort of little tip for florists and hobbyists alike.
So you're doing this, you've obviously got years of experience doing this. So how much of it is to do with just your eye? How much is it, have a go?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think really it is always about, sort of having a go and seeing how you like it. I always think about, look at the different varieties you have in the same structure. So whether, if they're very elongated, or whether, these two are very, similar in the fact that they're both structurally tall, and then you've got sort of your more round, your more rounded shapes. So distribute the same shapes evenly, and then distribute the color evenly, and aesthetically it generally always looks okay. And beauty really is in the eye of the beholder, right?
Absolutely.
So what one person loves, another person doesn't, and it's it's having enough confidence to give it a go and to practice makes perfect. I mean, when I look at some of the work that I created when I first started floristry, I wouldn't have given myself a job.
I think that's always the case, though, isn't it? That's always the case.
Absolutely. I think, my goodness, that was shocking. Making sure on things like these that we remove, I want the feature to be the flower and not the foliage. So you can remove foliage on most things to create, to show off the nice flower on top, really, rather than just all about the foliage, because otherwise it will make everything look, all the foliage stays on, it will look very heavy. And what you want is to show off the beauty of this. The heaviness is just with a little bit of foliage to cover the mechanics.
So obviously you're using live flowers today.
Yes.
We sell a lot of artificial flowers, dried flowers. The same sort of design methodologies are applied to that.
Absolutely, yes. You would just maybe use a different type of foam.
Okay.
That's it.
So that's the Oasis, that's the brown foam, isn't it?
Yes. So that's the sec. So it's a much harder foam, ideal for artificial stems and dried flowers. But actually, some of the very more delicate dried flowers, if you're just using that to create a design, then actually the green foam is equally as good, because it's softer on the stem. So really, it's about thinking about what you're using, and then thinking, how can I create my design, and then what products would I use to try it? Trial and error. Maybe buy two and test the stems. Okay. Before you wet. So just keep, sort of then adding. We may not you use all of these, all of the flowers, but we're going to be just adding it, as you can say, just to.
Great.
So we've started with some height, and we're bringing it down. So really, because I didn't want these to be, I want them to be a feature, but I don't want them to dominate.
Okay.
So ideally, we've created a triangle shape.
Okay.
So, and that aesthetically then looks on the eye pleasing. So if it was much taller, they would maybe be a little bit lost, but too short, and these would look like it was too wide. It's think about the whole overall design with your flowers and your accessories. It's very important. And just to this note, so choosing some products, you'll find that these things are very, very malleable. So we have the ability to be able to sort of push them through these. And then we can sort of use that stem to make even more unusual shapes. And something that just says, wow, that's interesting. That's interesting. These also dry, so you can use, you can hang these and dry them with great ease and use them in products all year round. They take spray very well, so you'll be able to spray them if you wanted to. They look great at Christmas, sprayed gold.
This is great, just thinking of these different ways of I'd never have thought, even though, I can see this just like you can, never thought of putting it in and then using the stem as a feature.
Yeah, so there's a few things that, lots of people do it in weddings, things like with calla lilies.
Yeah.
They're quite a nice malleable stem as well. And some things you just have to starve a little bit of water and then it becomes a bit malleable. Place it in and then give it a drink, and then it will, sort of harden to that shape. So it's getting, the more you use fresh, the more you start understanding how they work and what they will give you as a design feature.
So I've got a question for you.
Sure.
So you've been doing this for quite a while.
Yes.
What have you done that you are most proud of?
Oh my goodness. What am I most proud of?
Or the one that's most memorable to you?
Oh golly. I did Chelsea a few years ago, the year before lockdown, with Floral Fundamentals, another group that I'm an ambassador for. And I loved that experience. I worked with a lot of international designers. That was really, I was very proud of that finished product.
Yeah.
But I think what I'm most proud of is being able to help my other fellow florists, really.
Yeah.
I work a lot with a group of florists called the Good Florist Guide. And I love being part of that family. I think just experiencing, being able to impart knowledge and help fellow florists is, I think, overall an achievement I'm really proud of, because I've had the opportunity to be able to help other people.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
There's so much that I've been very, very lucky in my career to be able to experience so many things. That would be hard to kind of pin it down, because that's maybe a podcast all on its own.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, there's lots of things. Every day is, and that's the beauty of floristry, that every day truly is different, because every bouquet, whether it's just a simple bouquet for a customer in store, or whether it's a bespoke, huge installation, it's the same. It's never the same twice.
Yeah.
Everything we do is different. And I suppose in many ways that's also very true for your balloon people too.
Yeah, absolutely.
That every client and customer wants something a bit different.
Yeah.
It might be an arch, but it's never the same arch twice. It might, be something completely different every time.
Yeah.
So that makes our job fun.
Yeah.
Really fun.
Yeah.
Sometimes it makes it difficult too, but let's not talk about those customers.
We don't have any difficult customers in our industry. They're all right.
No, they're all fun.
Speaking of customers, I asked you earlier on off camera about pricing, because there's in our industry sometimes there is a temptation to underprice yourself. You don't feel you've got the confidence to charge what everybody else is charging because you're new in the industry. What's your advice around price? Because I'm guessing it's probably very similar in your industry.
I think whether it in whatever industry you're in, if you run your own business, it's very hard to get pricing right. I think it's I think being able to value your own time and your skill as a skilled labourer, skilled person. Because if everyone, I know they say, if anyone can do it, but anyone can do it, but can they do it well?
Yeah.
And can they do it to your standard? And if your standard and your workload is, your standard is very high and your workload is very high, you've clearly got a gift.
Yeah.
So I think it's very important to be able to price your product accordingly. Don't undersell yourself. And those people that don't want to pay your price are not your customers.
Yes,
they're
absolutely.
just not your customers.
Absolutely.
Because someone else will come around the corner and say, wow, they will appreciate your skill and will pay it.
Yeah.
And that's what, I think the industry as a whole needs to, it's a very difficult one. And I don't think, no matter where you're from, in all areas of creative industries, we have the same issues. Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
So you would always say, stick to your guns.
Absolutely,
stick to your guns.
Sure, stick to your guns and learn to say no.
Yeah.
I did something with Caroline Marshall Foster with the Good Florist Guide people, and we did a whole thing about how to say no. not easy.
No,
but
no, it's not.
Boy, is it liberating when you can actually say no. And do you know what? Those people still come back, and they're still your customers because they're like, because you can say no in a positive way and be really proud, about what you're doing and why you're doing it.
Well, ultimately, buy cheap, buy twice. That's what they say.
That old fable is very true. My nan said it, and I used to think, "Ugh, God," and now I totally believe her. Of course,
but it comes with knowledge as well. So you just said a few things there, and one thing was about pulling the stem back up, having a little pool of water. That's such a tiny detail.
It is a tiny detail.
That if you didn't know and which flowers that would apply to, it could just go horribly wrong.
And it's years of working with growers, understanding growers, asking what they need, and trial and error with myself as well. Why not get a block of foam, get my 5 favourite flowers and see how they react?
Yeah.
But it's not that the foam necessarily may not work for them. It means I need to think how that flower needs to work in foam.
Yeah.
Think the other way. And that's that's key.
Yeah.
And often, a lot of our everyday gifting isn't in foam, it's a hand-tied bouquet.
Yeah.
But then still the flowers need to understand how the principle of those flowers will work in certain designs as well. So I mean, this product is kind of now sort of really coming together and taking shape.
It's amazing.
So it's, as you can see, the color is being evenly distributed. It's having this lovely Gloriosa, which is stunning. That's a very short stem, so it comes with pollen again, making sure we remove the stamen, the pollen, because no one wants that on their clothes. We're just going to finish with.
So that's what we're wearing here.
We are wearing this. I know.
Very nice.
Yes.
I didn't have a choice.
No, it
I was
just
forced.
got pinned onto you.
Morgan just said,
"That's for you. You have to have it." And why not? If we're going to work with florals, we may as well adorn ourselves with them too, right?
Absolutely. For the next show, we're going to have something in our hair.
Why not? Why not? Why not?
I've not got a lot of it.
Then, those, these Protea and pink cushions, these are a South African flower, not necessarily grown, they're just native to South Africa, but they last for such a long time, and they're very, very tolerant in foam. They would survive a nuclear winter in foam, actually. They're very, very hardy. The roses I'm using short. I'm removing the guard petals. So often people look at a rose and go, oh, that's old. No, it's really not. We leave the guard petals on because they're bitter to the bugs and critters. So when it's growing, these ugly outer petals are actually just guard petals. So the bugs don't borrow through them. Because they taste bitter and leave all the sweet, nice petals inside. So you just remove them,
that's good to know.
Clean them up, and use those in the design too. And then they look perfect. This particular one has got this lovely outer sort of edge to it, which is this lovely orange colour. And when it opens, it's got this lovely, lovely tone to it. You can, if you want to show that orange off, you can just what they class as called reflexing the petal. So it's just bending those first few little petals back, and we're just going to show maybe one of them off like that. It's very easy to do. And we can just tease those open a little bit.
So you were saying earlier that in your shop, it's completely open, so people see exactly what everybody is doing.
Yeah, I think it's really important for customers when they're seeing the process of the product being made, because then it's the whole experience. I call it the Harrods experience, because people come into my shop and you can buy flowers anywhere, right? You can buy balloons in a lot of places, flowers in a lot of places, but it's that experience when you come into a bespoke store or your bespoke service, of course. Whether it be online, is that experience. So for me, when people come in and see the whole process of the bouquet, they might pick everything on the stand and then see it being made. It's like that, wow. And I want people to go out, with my branding and have that experience of, you might go to Harrods and buy a pen, but what you really want is to have the bag with the words Harrods written on it.
Absolutely.
And walk down, because you want everyone to know it came from there. It's the same, different, maybe a, step down maybe to my store, however, but I aim high, because when people walk down down the street with my box and my branding, I want them to go, they've bought from Old Oak Floor Designers, not I've got a bouquet from the supermarket under my arm. And there's a reason why people buy that. So people might come in and have a bouquet from the supermarket underneath their arm, and then they're coming into me to buy something for their friend because they understand that might be for my kitchen table, but I'm buying something for my friend. I must have something. It's that Harrods experience. Yeah. And it's the same with the balloon industry too. So the last few little bits of flower before some final finishing touches go in. So this status again will last very long and will dry to the point of being stabilized for years, and will also take spray.
So if you are, we've got people watching that are in the balloon industry, been in the balloon industry for years. If they watch this and they're inspired, and they think, okay, I'm going to start using live flowers, I'm going to get into floristry. What tips would you give?
What tips would I give them? Definitely do some courses. There are many. I know a lot of my floral friends will hate the fact that there are online courses, but that's the way the world is going, whether we enjoy that or not. But you must have, we are in a creative industry, you must have hands-on experience. So I would highly recommend, which I've done and lots of people do, go and find your best available nearest and florist or balloon center, balloon shop, and say, can I give my time for free? Can I experience how to do this? You're not going to become a competitor, in all cases, but dedicate your time to learn the craft properly, but over a good amount of time. Don't do a 2-day online course and get a pretend diploma, and then just because you can have a business card printed, sort of think about it for longevity. If you want to be successful and you truly want to become a florist or a balloon artist, think about a long course to be able to hone your skill and be the good florist, not just a florist.
I love, we're, excuse me, we're online, we're an online business, we've got the shows online, but I'm a big advocate of face-to-face training.
Absolutely.
Because you learn so much, you can ask the questions, you're with people that might be in the same boat as you, and it's a whole different experience.
Absolutely, and I used to give my time, and the time up for free just to go and experience things. Even though I was maybe in floristry, I may never have done, sort of a big corporate installation. I was like, right, who does? Who can I go and give myself? I'll help you for free. Can I come and experience? Because we all have to sort of help each other. Industry professionals should help each other, and that's a really good thing about the Good Florist Guide. We do help each other an awful lot.
So these are the bats that are part of the kit.
I'm just sort of finishing them off. I've attached them onto some of this silver aluminium. So this particular wire is also an Oasis product. This one has a cut through it, so it has a bit of shine. It looks a bit like a diamond, and it's very malleable. So I love working with that because you can kind of like manipulate it into wherever you need it to be. So if I don't want that back there, I can just sort of move him over to there quite easily. So as you can see, this sort of taking shape is with the finishing touches. I'm just adding the few little bats in.
I keep thinking that could be done, and then you keep adding more, and it just looks even better. It's brilliant.
But so these, and that's the thing. Finishing touches is always a key, especially for occasions. I think those little added extras are really important for the consumers, because we buy with our eyes. They might love the flowers, but of course, this is meant to be fun. You wouldn't put, this is, the pumpkins are great for autumn as well, but the bats, of course, they're just for fun. But it is that little added value that can often, on many cases, just be pennies. But wow, are they a great little feature, especially if you're trying to sell something to children. Because mummy, I must have it. And then just a couple of these little pumpkins sitting in here. that again I have just attached a little bit of green wire to, because they are just sort of a polystyrene finish. And then really just don't forget, not forgetting that it is even though it is predominantly front facing, it is attractive from all angles, so that if it's sitting away from a wall, then we should be able to appreciate it from the back too. So just that little bit of finishing touch in the back will help mask and sort of be enjoyable from all different angles. So really, those little tips and tricks are just a few little things that you can do to be able to create a product using all of the Oasis Floral product items, including the Oasis Floral Foam.
Morgan, thank you so much. Now, I forgot to mention, as a guest on BMTV, you get to ask the question of the week to everybody out there, and they will hopefully put comments on YouTube and Facebook.
So my question to the BMTV viewers would be, what is your favourite season and why?
In general? Or?
Just in general, yeah. So
okay.
In general, why is it particular? For me, it would be autumn, because I love the change of the colours, I love the season, and I love the flowers that are available to me.
Okay.
You can sit in your garden and see those multitude of colours. I really dislike summer.
All right, okay.
Because flowers don't like the heat.
Yeah.
So if they don't like it, I don't like it.
Okay.
They love the winter. I love, the winter too. I think the winter's beautiful, but autumn, I love the changing of the season. Okay. So why is your season your favourite?
Okay. So what is your favourite season and why? Leave your comments down below on Facebook and on YouTube. Morgan, thank you so much. It's
You're
been
welcome.
An absolute pleasure.
Thank you very much.
And thank you everybody out there for watching. Thank you for subscribing. If you haven't subscribed, please do hit that subscribe button and the little bell icon. You'll be notified every time we upload a new show. And check us out on Instagram as well. Stay happy, stay positive. See you all next week. Bye.
Bye.